we continue to hear that the mainstream media is dying, and someone who's helping speed their death is my friend Sam Anthony. He started his own platform. It's called Your News. Sam, welcome back to The Truth.
Good to see you, John. Glad to be here.
Thanks. So how's it going? Since the last time we spoke, how's your platform evolving?
So we've picked up a lot more creators. I mean, the last time I was on was probably 3-4 months ago. I think it was right before the event that we went to at Trump National. And we probably picked up about 1,000 new creators. More importantly, the traffic has grown. Last month we had, I think it was 1,670,000 visitors. We've added new technology where people can follow the authors on the platform. People have their own author page. You're on my platform, so you have your own author page and a way for people to follow you. So it's been expanding and growing, but it's really because our marketplace, these people have nowhere to go. You know, there's 500,000 people on LinkedIn for just the US that call themselves freelance journalists, and that means they're looking for work, right? They don't have jobs. So I deal with it all the time.
Well, you know, I remember when there used to be I guess we called them beat journalists that would follow the news in their local community, and they would write for the local paper. But so many of those newspapers have now been bought out, and they're part of a big conglomerate like Gannett or whoever. And so that beat journalist has kind of gone by the wayside. And sounds like you're trying to fill that void.
Well, I am filling the void. I have 6,000 news reporters, John. 6,000. Think about that.
Spread throughout the U.S.
Spread throughout the U.S. There's roughly 20,000 cities across the U.S. So if I had one person a city, you'd have 20,000. So I mean, the growth here, the potential for growth, I estimate. You know, you probably could have maybe 1 million, about 50 people a city. Obviously, some cities like New York and Chicago and Miami and Detroit will have more people than, a smaller market. But yeah, about 50 people a city. So at full scale, you're probably talking a citizen-powered press of probably 1 million news reporters in just the United States alone.
Wow, that would be amazing.
Crazy.
So how are these 6,000 that you have currently segmented? Are they subject matter journalists, or are they geographical? How do you view these individual journalists?
So when they sign up, right now we're in our infancy. I mean, what I don't need is 100,000 people that are doing the Monday Night Football game, right? So at some point in time, we're going to have to get our arms around.
To that one.
Yeah. So, but for the most part, most of our news is local news. It could be like a new restaurant opening up. People do movie reviews, theater critics. It's whatever your passion is. I have people that are, they do fashion news. It's not about me. I'm a platform, and if you go to yournews.com and mouse over local or national news, you'll see all the different topics. John, I have people do auto racing, NASCAR. That's it. That's all they do. People that do IndyCar, people that do home and garden, food and wine. And so it really depends on the particular person. If somebody's writing a story about somebody's Little League game, it's not national news, it's sports news for that city, whereas the high school game is going to be sports news for the market. And then the Monday Night Football game is national news. So it's really, I would say 99% of my content is local news. The 1% is national, but that's a lot of people.
How do the consumers find out about it?
It's the same way they find out about people on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. It's a creator-based platform. Remember, the legacy media is going out of business. And the reason is, you could say it's because they're lying, but it isn't. It's because it's an antiquated product. Just look at the numbers. Everything is moving to creator-based platforms. YouTube, we had this conversation. 60 million people have channels on YouTube. Let me say it again, 60 million people. TikTok and Instagram, over 100 million people. So the people that put up the channel are telling everybody to go to their channel to watch their show. But now you have 60 million people promoting it on YouTube. And as people come in, they start looking around at other things. So I'll give you an example. When somebody posts their kid's Little League game on our site, and I'm using this as a simple example, that content's going to be shared with grandma and grandpa and all friends and family. Well, when they come in to your news to consume that content, they're one click away from another section. And maybe they like auto racing. Maybe they like business stories. Maybe they like entertainment. So as a friend once told me, you're like Amazon, you're like the mall. And people come in for specific things to pick up an item, but then they're going into other stores and checking it out. And that's really what this is. And so a perfect example is, I have people that do NASCAR news. That's it. And they have a following on socials, and they're bringing all their following over to me. Well, I'm really getting big in 2A. I'm talking about Second Amendment gun news, because all the gun people have nowhere to go. So I have, this is just from another journalist. The other journalist had signed up and set up an account, and I called them. I said, how'd you find out about this? They said, Sam, you have some of the biggest names in journalists on your, in 2A journalism on your site. I said, who the hell are they? Right? I don't even know. But here's the point. The point is, people that watch NASCAR, for the most part, shoot guns. And the people who shoot guns watch NASCAR, right? It's like, so people might be coming in to watch this show, which we do audio, video, or print, or read an article about 2A, and next thing you know, they go over to sports and click on auto racing, and there's more content for them to consume. It's no different than you going to YouTube and watching your video and then moving over and watching somebody else's video. It's the same thing. We're just under topics: sports, business, politics, entertainment. So it's pre-searched. And then because our niche is local, we could drill down and publish something to a specific geography as granular as a city.
You know, it's kind of amazing to me the way that things have evolved. You know, if you were going to do a story and you ran a network and you wanted to do a story on fraud in Minnesota, you'd send a big truck with a satellite on top, a news camera, technicians with sound and lighting. And then there's a guy, 23 years old, Nick Shirley. He shows up with an iPhone and a portable microphone, and he's getting millions of views around the world. Times are really changing, aren't they?
It's all moving to creator-based platforms. He broadcasts on X, right? That's how this works. So imagine what you just said. You're talking about somebody who's 23 years old, who's never went to journalism school. He's never worked for any radio station, TV station. I don't think
he graduated from college.
No, and yet it took an individual to go out and uncover all the fraud. And these big networks couldn't even find it, or maybe they weren't looking.
Or maybe it's just too expensive for them, because their business model, I mean, I think, you know, it's kind of like the airlines used to be. You know, we had a conglomerate, or rather an oligopoly of Delta, United, American, I guess there was TWA and maybe one or two others. But they didn't have a monopoly, but they had an oligopoly. And then along came JetBlue and what's the other one? Southwest.
Okay, Southwest.
And all these discount airlines, and they figured out how to do it as good but cheaper. And now citizen journalists, they don't have the overhead that a big network has.
No.
And they're able to get in there and do the grunt work and just put it up on YouTube or on your platform.
You hit it on the head. They're leveraging platforms for distribution and monetization.
We're also very excited to welcome Nessa's Hemp as a advertiser on our show. And you know, I don't put my name behind something unless I actually believe in it. So when I tell you about Nessa's Hemp, I want you to listen up. Nessa's Hemp is a Chicago-based hemp company founded by Nessa, and what she has built is really something special. We're talking clean, high-quality hemp products with no gimmicks, just real ingredients, real transparency, and real results. Whether you're dealing with stress, sleep issues, or inflammation is the enemy, or you just want to add something natural to your wellness routine, Nessa's Hemp has something for you. And right now, in our city, head over to nessahemp.com. That's NESAS hemp.com and check out what they've got. Use the promo code John at checkout for a discount, and that's just for our listeners. Nessa's Hemp, homegrown, honest, right there in Chicago.
There's 61 million other people on YouTube. How many of them do you think went to broadcast journalism school?
I ventured to.
I mean, percentage-wise,
0.0001.
Right. So,
I mean, I did take journalism in college, but I wasn't a journalism major. But regardless, the fact is that, you know, just fundamental economics dictate that the low-cost provider is going to be the survivor. And we're seeing people like Nick Shirley. Also, I asked you about this kid, Reckless Sam, who is has great content, and he is going in and routing out and exposing people that do dishonest things in business. Reckless Sam, that's right. And what did I say, Anthony?
was it Dan?
Oh, no. Well, whatever. You go back to sleep. Reckless Sam. Oh, no, Reckless Ben.
Ben.
No, you're Reckless Sam.
I'm Reckless Sam.
He's Reckless Ben. Thank you for helping me out there, Anthony. Anyway, so he goes in and he's exposed how this business ripped off a dying man. They had taken his Lego collection on consignment. He had to sell it. It was worth like 200 grand. His obsession in life was collecting Legos. And then he got a dreadful disease. And so his son went and got his Lego set, gave it to this company that was going to sell it for him on consignment. They started to do it. He got a little bit of cash. But then the store went out of business. The franchisor came in and they said, oh no, these are our Legos. You can't have them. And he exposed it all, and it's just become a huge worldwide news story. And, you know, I just don't think that CBS or NBC would have ever covered this.
They wouldn't have cared to. And, you know, remember, you know, back in the 80s, there was 500 independent news outlets. Today, there's 6. The reason we're in the mess we're in today is because of the mainstream media either lying or not reporting things, okay, for whatever reason. So everybody saw the Sinclair Broadcasting where you had the 50 TV saying the same thing at the same time. So we live in something, John, called centralized news, where you had this roll-up of the media industry with just a handful of institutions that are now controlling the narrative, and all of it's being dismantled, not because there's not a demand for news, it's because of new technology. The reason you don't send a telegraph is because somebody created a phone. That is the actual reason. And the reason these institutions are collapsing and all these people are out of work is because there's still a demand for news. It's just consumption's changed. And like you said, the overhead is so much lower for Nick Shirley, right? He just pulls up in his car and walks around and starts interviewing people. And so the platforms is where everything is headed. And like I said, YouTube had 3 billion people on it last month. So that attracts money. The money goes where the eyeballs are going, and they're not in mainstream media everywhere. Look at all the newspapers that have folded. I mean, most of them. I mean, we're just left with, you ever see the Palm Beach Post? It's like this thick now. It's like 2 pages.
Don't you think, and you alluded to it, that just the fundamental dishonesty of the mainstream media is that people are really rebelling against that? I mean, they're still telling us that Oswald acted alone and killed Kennedy. The fact of the matter is, I don't even think Oswald was in the sniper's nest. But and I watched the lady on what is it? Not 60 Minutes, but on Sunday morning, the news show, Meet the Press.
Meet the Press, right.
And Trump just absolutely decimated her because basically she was just lying through her teeth. Completely. She said, oh, you tried to turn over an election with no proof. And she just kept saying, no proof, no proof, no proof. And there is a mountain of proof. And the mainstream media continues to feed us a bunch of baloney.
It's a
don't
shame.
You think people are rebelling against that?
It completely. I mean, now that's not the reason they're going out of business. They could have been telling the truth. The net result would have been the same.
Well, we'll never know.
Well, we will, because the money goes where the people are. And so, you know, all you have to do is look at the age demographic between 25 and 54. And the amount of people in that age bracket last year, first quarter, for all network television stations combined, was 500,000 people. That's not my numbers. That's the numbers coming out of the ratings. So they're migrating somewhere else. If you have children, ask them what they're watching. Okay, everybody knows it. The kids are watching, they're watching TikTok and Instagram and YouTube. They're consuming information completely different. Why do you think all the network TV stations all have YouTube channels? Okay.
For sure.
Okay, I have 3.
Well, you know, we're on YouTube also, and we can't get traction. We can get no traction on YouTube. And
it's because of your name of your company, The Truth with John Gordon.
Yeah.
They don't want truth.
What a horrible concept. And so while the mainstream media suppressed the truth, now we see some of these platforms doing the same thing. You know, Twitter would cancel people if they criticized the vaccine. And I ran for political office. I put a political ad up to introduce myself when we first announced our candidacy. YouTube wouldn't show it. They throttle us. To this day, they throttle this show. We've been doing it for 3 years. We've got a paltry couple thousand subscribers. We've been on Getter for 3 months, and we've already got 5,000 subscribers. I mean, there's proof positive that we're being throttled. How do they get away with that? Where is the marketplace for truth?
The marketplace for truth, look, it's going to be everywhere. You know, as a content creator, I always tell them, you need to have your stuff everywhere. You need to get it out there. Now, YouTube is definitely a place. There's 3 billion people on that site last month.
It's too big to ignore.
Okay, but Getter doesn't have anywhere near that, yet you have more traction. It's because your stuff is being released. And so, you know, then you have Rumble, which is the same thing. I mean, but they're growing.
Our Rumble channel is growing. And we had a video a month ago, and we got over 2 million views on Facebook.
I heard.
YouTube won't even show it. It's crazy. Now, how are you going to do it better on your platform? How do you resist the temptation to bring your own bias to the marketplace?
Well, so when it comes to bias, our platform is a citizen-powered press. And I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. If you have an opinion, we'll publish it, even if I agree with it or I disagree with it. But it's going in opinions. On the other side...
My wife should get on your channel.
She should.
She's definitely got opinions on pretty much everything, especially related to me. But anyway, we digress.
So, you know, the whole... People ask me, you know, how do we know if it's factual? I said, well... Look, you know, how could I possibly know what happened at any city council meeting anywhere in America? If somebody's reporting on it, I wouldn't know if it's accurate or not. But the public will let you know, John. The only thing a journalist has is their credibility. The moment they lose it, it's over. So let me ask you this question. This will answer the whole thing for you. If you started lying to your audience, how fast would they leave?
I don't really know, because I haven't tested that theory.
Okay.
All we do is work really, really hard to tell the truth. And we question ourselves at every turn to make sure that we're being as factual as we possibly can.
And that's all people want. And it's okay if you make a mistake, but if you're out and out lying, nobody's ever going to watch your stuff. So we never get what I just described. It has not come in yet. I'm sure there's going to be people that put up information that's BS. The only emails I've ever had were people threatening me, telling me to take stuff down because it was factual. It was
So what about the libel laws? Do you not worry that somebody could be mad at their brother-in-law and make stuff up and put it on your platform?
So on our platform, when you submit an article, before it gets approved, you have to accept the terms. And the terms are that you're responsible for your own content, just like on any other platform, because how could we possibly know? And then if we find out that you did something wrong, we just remove the content. That's it. So the precedence has already been set. I think just Comcast just won something that was very similar.
And do you find yourself having to review or remove content for inaccuracies?
In the last 3 years, one time because it was somewhat slanderous. That was it. But other than that, nothing has been removed. Matter of fact, I've had 2 threats for lawsuits. I even sent it to the people. One guy said, I want that removed. Well, you know, I don't know why he wanted it removed. He was running for political office, and he was arrested for beating up his wife and drunk driving. And I had the
Sound like perfect qualifications to be a public servant these days.
So wait, it gets better. So he wanted me to remove it because he didn't want people to know, okay? It was public information. Then you know what he did? He created an account on our site and started posting news, his own news. I don't mind, right? If he's running for political office, let us know who you are.
So what's your vision? Where do you see your company, your news, in 5 years?
The legacy media will be all but gone in the next 5 years. It'll be a shadow of what it is today. What'll replace it will be a hyper-local news platform, most likely global, but will deal with the U.S. With a social component where the public can interact and share in the narrative locally because that's what they want. It'll have a monetization model like YouTube and all the other platforms where citizen journalists can submit their work freely without being censored and get paid for it. And a self-service ad platform where somebody can buy an ad and target it to one zip code and anywhere in between. What I just described to you is what we already do. Our niche is local news, and we do it at scale.
I think it is a great idea, and obviously so does the consumer because you're growing at pretty rapid rates. So thank you, Sam Anthony, for coming back on and updating us. And where do people catch your news? How do they find it?
Well, I'm always looking for more content creators. So if you're a content creator and you're interested in, becoming a citizen journalist on our platform, you would go to yournews.com, go to the bottom and click Become a Citizen Journalist. There's a couple videos that you could watch which kind of explains it. And then if you like what you hear, you could fill out an application. For people that invest in opportunities, there's an invest button down there. Takes you to our equity crowdfund page where you could read about it. And if you want to make an investment, you could spend $300 or anywhere in between.
And if you're in Peoria and you want to find out about last night's Little League game?
If we have it, and if we don't have it, somebody should sign up and start producing it. So think of it this way, there's 20,000 cities in the United States. I have 6,000 news reporters.
You're on your way.
Right, so, like I told you, the hardest one is getting the first one. Now I'm at 6,000. I have, almost 1.7 million visitors last month, which was almost a jump of 250,000 from the month before. I'll be back on your show. We'll have 10,000, we'll have 20,000, we'll have 50,000, we'll have 100,000. And when you're at 100,000, you're probably you're probably 10% of the way there. That's crazy, right? So that's scale. And so those creators is what drives the audience, which attracts ad revenue. Sure. Look, make no mistake about it. The legacy media is going to be gone. It's all going to platforms. My niche is local news. The content that we carry, you can't put on Substack, you can't put on YouTube, you can't put on Rumble. It's just not, the church bake sale is not YouTube material, right? It's not. So it's the local news, but then I'm the local paper in every city in America with USA Today wrapped around it.
I heard Scott Pelley may be looking for a job. Maybe you should call him up.
Oh, I already got it set for him. We created a fake news section, and he could start publishing immediately.
There you go. Sam Anthony, and it's called Your News, and you can find it at yournews.com. And that is the truth. I'm John Gordon.